Hi everyone, my name is Darius Brockett alongside my co-host Julien Johnson. The Morgan Show is on the road this week. We bring our cameras to Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia for the MEAC 2022 tournament where we see the Morgan State men's and women's basketball team.
Both teams scored victories in the tournament against South Carolina State Bulldogs. The Morgan ladies defeated the Lady Spartans 66-53 in the quarterfinal matchup on Thursday, while the Morgan men took down South Carolina State Bulldogs also 80-77 after a three-point shot rimmed out in the final seconds of the game.
And on Friday, we saw heartbreaking losses on both parting teams as the Morgan State Lady Bears fall in defeat at the buzzer, losing 53-51, and the men also losing to Norfolk State as well, losing 72-63. Unfortunately, the weekend does end a little bit early for us.
But the Morgan Show was here to cover every single moment of this MEAC 2022 tournament journey.
The Morgan State Lady Bears played 2 games at the MEAC basketball tournament at Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. The first game was played Thursday against the South Carolina State Lady Bulldogs. The Bears convincingly won 66-53. This was in part to the return of Danya Red, who missed the previous 6 weeks due to a concussion. Coach Davis seemed to be thrilled to have a healthy team on the floor.
We do have a couple of key people back. Danya Red is back. And we also have Taylor back.
Red scored 7 points and obtained 3 rebounds. The Lady Bears were a defensive juggernaut, coming up with 29 takeaways. Guard Jayla Atmore got her hands dirty, leading the team in steals with 5. On the offensive end, Janiah Henson attacked the basket to make a living at the charity stripe. Henson shot 6 for 10 from the free throw line. Charlene Shepard has evolved to being a leader on the floor.
In a sense, I feel like with Ye out and then Taylor also out, but she's back now. I had to really step up and be a leader, show my experience that I've had on the collegiate level.
With the 12 points from Charlene Shepard and Jayla Atmore, the Lady Bears rode the wave to a comfortable victory. Coming in on Friday, energy was high when the Lady Bears and Lady Spartans seek to end their 1-1 regular season tie. The game started with a bang. The Lady Bears were like sharpshooters going on an 11-0 run 5 minutes into the quarter. The team usually scores on the inside, but Coach Davis seemed to be quite comfortable letting the 3-ball fly.
So if we normally like to start inside out, but today we had the opportunity to start outside in. And for our advantage, that first quarter, we knocked down some shots. And toward the end, we made some pretty tough shots, but just wasn't enough to carry us over.
The Lady Bears, Asia McCullough and Charlene Shepard got into foul trouble early after obtaining 3 fouls apiece. Shepard still managed to make an imprint on his game by scoring 13 points and having 8 rebounds. The Achilles heel for the Lady Bears were the Lady Spartans' offensive rebounding and guard Deja Francis. A tight contest throughout, the Lady Spartans' Deja Francis single-handedly kept the game close with her 19 points. With the game tied 51-all and 30 seconds left, the Lady Spartans had one chance to end the Bears' hopes. After the first shot was missed, Camille Downs got a quick offensive rebound, throws up a Hail Mary off the glass that she knew was going in.
Because I was very confident in myself, and my teammates were very confident in me. They kept telling me to shoot. They kept telling me to shoot and shoot, even though I was missing the majority of the game. They just kept telling me and giving me positive vibes.
This sealed the Bears' fate, and Morgan State will fall 51-53 in a heartbreaker.
The Morgan State men came into the MEAC tournament in Norfolk, Virginia, riding the high of their 4-game winning streak. They wanted to end the season by hoisting the MEAC championship. The first team the Bears faced was the South Carolina State Bulldogs during their Thursday night game at Scope Arena, but it wasn't a cakewalk. From start to finish, both teams were locked in a close contest that would end in a thriller. It almost didn't, though, after the Bears led 66-56 with 8:49 remaining in the game. However, the Bulldogs ended up going on a 9-2 run to pull the game within 3 with 6 minutes left. From there, both teams traded hitting clutch threes as the game waned down the stretch. The most important three included senior guard Sherwin Devonish-Prince finding guard Isaiah Burke for the game-clinching corner three. Guard Daquan Williams launched the three with 1.1 seconds remaining to tie the game, but ultimately it rimmed out as Morgan breathed a breath of fresh air and won 80-77.
Best team that night's going to win. And for a minute, early on, they were the best team, and we just kept fighting and fighting. And we ended up on the victory side. But I take my hat off to that ball club. And, they had a great year, and we have won, and we move on to the next game.
They really played a team game, though, by having 4 players in double figures. The best including sophomore big Chad Venning scoring 15, which 11 of those came in the first half, and senior guard Malik Miller scoring 16 points on a perfect 8 for 8 from the field to go along with 7 rebounds and 3 steals.
For me, I just try to attack, get to the basket, get to the rim. The offense is designed perfectly for the way I play, which is the backdoor cuts, stuff like that in that nature. So I feel like I just trying to get to the rim for the most part, and shots went in.
Going into the next game on Friday against Norfolk, they knew they'd have to climb a huge mountain in order to beat the number 1 seed Norfolk State Spartans. Coach Kevin Brodus called the Spartans the king of the hill of the MEAC after the Thursday win, but they wouldn't go down without swinging. Once again, the game started off close with it tied at 28 after senior guard Trevor Moore hit a 3-pointer going into halftime. As the game developed, though, the physicality and toughness of the Spartans, as well as the fatigue of last game, proved too much for the Bears. They went over 5 minutes without a field goal in the latter end of the second half, which eventually led to Norfolk winning this game 72-63 and ending Morgan's winning streak at 5.
I mean, I don't want to take nothing away from it. They held us to 38%, and we just couldn't get into a flow offensively.
Norfolk had 4 double-digit scores, 2 of which had 19 points, including senior guards Jalen Hawkins and Joe Bryant, who was the MEAC Player of the Year. Morgan finished the game with both Isaiah Burke and Malik Miller scoring 14 points. The Bears ended the season 13-14 and 7-7 in the MEAC.
In a nail-biting thriller, what was your feeling when you saw that shot rim in and out?
The emotions were high in the arena, and it felt like the air in the arena was basically sucked away from it until it finally rimmed out. And the Morgan State Bears won this game, and they walked into the next game with their heads held high because they knew they'd be fighting an uphill battle going into this one.
As you said, they were going into an uphill battle. As they went through the game and they just couldn't get shots to fall, what was your take on that?
I thought they really fought hard. I thought that they really had a lot of great looks, but unfortunately it was like there was a lid on the basket. But the energy was high throughout the whole game, and it was very fun to watch, although they could not pull out the W. So how did you feel about the energy and just the atmosphere of the whole game?
The Lady Bears came out extravagant, playing on all phases of the game, offense and defense. Jayla Atmore came away with 5 steals, and because of her and that defense, Lady Bears were able to walk out with a convincing win.
And what about the second game? It was very close from start to finish, like wire to wire. It was really amazing to watch.
On Friday, the Bears weren't able to pull out the W, but they fought hard in a nail-biter. Unfortunately, it was the luck of the draw for the Lady Spartans as the ball hit off the backboard, clanked in at the buzzer. The Lady Bears have a chance to continue their season at the WNIT Invitational, so although it may not happen today, there's still hope in the future.
Yeah. Time now for our Where Are They Now segment. We take a look back at a prominent Bear from back in yesteryear. Our focus today is a former member of the women's basketball team in the late 70s and early 80s. We take a look back in those glory days, and we caught up with Frankie Darcell at the MEAC tournament in Norfolk at Scope Arena.
Hi, my name is Lena Jackson, and you're watching Where Are They Now on The Morgan Show. I'm here with Miss Frankie Darcell as we explore her journey as she started as a female athlete at Morgan State playing basketball, and successfully transitioned into a career doing radio personality, an author, and theater directing. And so, Miss Frankie, thank you so much for being here to talk with us.
Yeah, absolutely welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited about being here.
Yeah. So I first want to start off talking about your years playing basketball here and what it meant to you playing for a team like Morgan State.
Well, there was nothing like playing for Morgan State University. First of all, when I came to Morgan in the fall of 1978, the team was called the Bearettes. And under the successful leadership of one of the baddest coaches that ever played and coached at Morgan State University, LaRue Fields, changed the name to the Lady Bears. So the Lady Bears today are known as the Lady Bears because of that 1978 to 83 teams that was some of the most winningest teams that we've ever had on the campus. So playing not only basketball on the women's side, but playing at a historically black college like Morgan State University literally changed my life and has really kind of set the tone for the kind of work I do today as a professional. And just as a footnote, in 1978, the NCAA did not have a national championship for women. It was known as the AIAW, the American Independent Athletic Association for Women, because the NCAA didn't even acknowledge women as a national sport until after Title IX. Then the NCAA started to have a national championship for women. So we play independent of the MEAC, we play independent of a national championship, but we had one of the winningest teams and seasons over the 4 or 5 year period that I played for Morgan. So it's a big thing. And we're here today supporting the Lady Bears. Lost today, but they played an incredible game.
Yeah, that's an incredible story.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about how Morgan shaped you. Can you talk a little bit about the business side and how the surroundings at Morgan and the people you met helped you shape as a businesswoman?
Wow, I got to tell you, I was at breakfast today with several of my teammates who are here at the MEAC tournament, and we talked about a game in Barry, Georgia. You're talking about Morgan State University. We took a bus from Baltimore, Maryland to Barry, Georgia. We were #1, had beat everybody. We were like 28-2. We go to Barry, Georgia. We're playing against a team that won the Southeast region. When we get there, there's not a person of color in sight anywhere. And here we are, 15 African American women from 5'8" to 6'6", walking into this little town. And it was interesting because I shared this story today, and I shared it in my first book. Coach LaRue Fields said to us when we got to the gym, she said, let me be real clear. She said, Frankie, you've got 4 files. June Walton, who is now in the M Club and just installed in the Morgan State University Hall of Fame, she said, June, you've got 3 files. She said, D, you already are going to be kicked out of the game. She said, here's the message I want to give you. She said, already knowing that we're coming in the game behind the 8 ball. She said, so don't get frazzled, don't get upset, just continue to play, because there's one thing that they can't do. If we put the ball in the hole more than they do, we win the game. The game was so intense, we won by 3. The game was so intense, by the time the game was over, they had taken everything out of the gym and put it on the bus. She said, grab your uniforms and jump on the bus. We didn't stop from Barry, Georgia until we got to Atlanta, okay? And this was 1980, and part of it was because they were so taken aback that this black team from Baltimore, Maryland, at the corner of Cold Spring and Hill and Lane came down and whipped their tail. So I say all the time that it's not what you're dealing with, it's how you respond to it that counts. So even if you find yourself in a situation where it seems like things are stacked up against you, one thing they can't do is stop you from putting the ball in the hole. And if you put the ball in the hole more than they do, you win the game.
Speak a little bit about the transition between being a student athlete into the radio personality and communications realm.
I can tell you, especially as we celebrate Women's History Month, 2 things. One, I think attending Morgan State University, and I come from a military family. My dad was a career Marine, so I lived in a very diverse community growing up. I didn't know much about we had pictures of Dr. King and the like, but I really didn't find out about civil rights and activism until I attended Morgan State University. Didn't know much about racism until I attended Morgan State University. So once I graduated and started working in the industry, 2 things I found to be very prevalent. One, being African American, but more more specifically, being a woman. I've been doing radio now 30 years, and I still fight the good fight to assure that the opportunities available for women, and more specifically African American women, that we get the equity and the quality out of what it is that we put into the business. I've been quite successful, and I'm excited about that. But I know two things. If I were white and if I were a male, I would be twofold ahead of where I am, but I still fight the good fight. Plus, I'm ready to retire in a few years, so I'm okay with telling the truth.
And with that idea in mind, do you have any just parting words for anybody who's about to graduate or they're a student looking to be where you are and follow in your footsteps?
First of all, congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Class of 2022.
Yeah.
Good luck to you. One of the things that I think that has made me most successful is building relationships. There's something they say in politics: it's never permanent. It's never permanent enemies. It's always permanent issues. Know that even if you have an indifference with someone today, that same person you may have to network with or work with the next day. So clearly, build an opportunity to network, build your resume. Don't be afraid to position yourself in situations that may be uncomfortable, because it will come. I'll just share this to make the point. I spent 4.5 years based out of Philadelphia, because I do 16 cities now, but based out of Philadelphia, I spent 4.5 years building a relationship with the PR company that represents Bill Cosby. When he was released from prison last year, he called my show first. And he promised he would do that in the interviews I had with him when he was in prison. And it took 4.5 years to get an interview that lasted 3.5 minutes. But it was based on building those relationships, being, a person of your word, being a person of character and integrity, because a lot of people share things with you off the record, and standing firm on what you consider to be your character and integrity as an individual. So work hard, don't take no for an answer. So just keep knocking on that door until the door opens, because there's somebody out there looking for a person just like you. One person can change your entire life. So don't give up.
Wow, thank you so much. That was
You're
so
welcome.
informative and wonderful. This has been The Morgan Show. I'm Lena Jackson. Thank you so much, Ms.
You're
Frankie.
welcome. You're welcome. Good luck, everybody.
The Morgan Show wants to also congratulate the Morgan State bowling team. Those ladies went down to the HBCU Invitational Tournament and have been excellent. And then they'll see themselves battling out in the championship. We want to give thank yous and congratulations to senior Ashanti Fernandez for taking home the MVP. I'm Darius Brockett, alongside with my friend Julien Johnson. You have seen us on The Morgan Show, and I want to thank you and see you guys again later.